Hello, I was just visiting a friend of mine across the street. He has this railroad anvil, and he dinged the surface pretty good not too long ago, and he asked me if I could go ahead and resurface the top. And I told him, well, while I was at it, I'd go ahead and surface the bottom and just take a small amount off the bottom. That way the bottom and the top will be squared to each other. So I'm going to set this aside for the moment. And with the John on Double Boost would be proud of me to see my board for my chuck so I don't damage the ways. There we go, it's on. Go ahead and put this away. And I'm just going to set this aside because we're going to need it for the next job, which will require a little bit of lathe work. Now I can get this out of my way. One thing I did with this board, because I didn't want it to slip and slide around, I went ahead and just put a couple of 1x2s on the bottom. So I can sit here and just lay it down. It fits over the ways, but it won't slide off if I drop something on it. And it's got some good dings in it, so it definitely works. So. Now, it may not be necessary, but I'm going to make sure that the vise is true to the axis of the lathe and the cross slide, or the ways and the cross slide. So what I've done is set up my magnetic holder. I got my gauge here, and I got it turned all the way in one complete turn. So let's see how far off it is, and then we'll make some minor adjustments here. And I'm out 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So let's take my rubber mallet here, my hard plastic one rather, and I'm going to move this over 12.5. So there's 5, 10, 11, 12 and a half. Put a little bit of tension on the screw that holds it in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it out, go back over to the other end, and we're going to start back at 0 again. So what we'll do, come over here, one good complete turn in, back over to 0. That's close. And as you can see, this is where the amateur is coming in, because I watch other people and I try to learn from them. And I've done pretty good so far. Okay, here we go. And hopefully this is the last time. There's a half. There's 1, 2, 3, and now we're 4 on the other side. So 1, 2. Back it off. Now, using a fly cutter on this, I honestly doubt that would have made a difference. However, I figure if I try to be accurate all of the time, it'll become second nature. And I'll always be accurate. So, let's try this one more time. And the needle didn't move all the way. So that's good to go. I'm set up, I'm parallel. I'm going to put everything away and we'll go ahead and get started on this anvil. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, now what I've done so far is while I had my gauge out, I went ahead and got the bottom of this as square to the tool as I could. It's actually warped a little bit and just worn from age. And it probably wasn't precise in the beginning anyway. So I'm going to touch off the cutter and we'll take about 3 times across the surface. I'm probably going to end up taking several cuts on the bottom. I'm just going to take small ones. So I'll get it started, I'll stop the video, and then we'll catch the last of the cut, and then we'll flip it up right side up, and we'll start on the top. So I got the tool tightened down, the fly cutter. I got everything switched over to the mill. Turn it on slow. Oh, got to reverse it here. One more thing here. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to touch it off. A little bit more light on the subject. There we go. And we'll go ahead, set that on 0. Come up here. Set this one on 0 as well. Back it off. And then we'll come in, take, let's try 5 thousandths and see what that does to the overall thing. Lock the quill and engage the feed. And this battery is going to die in a few seconds, so I'll let it run till the battery dies. Okay, I finished facing off the bottom of the anvil. Now as you can see, I'm working on the top. This is my first cut. I'm taking 5 thousandths of an inch. And that's probably what I'll do, is I'll just do cuts of 5, between 5 and 8 thousandths. It's going to take a while. I'll go ahead and go through this cut. You can see that it's cutting at an angle. So, got quite a ways to go, and fly cutter's definitely flying chips all over the house. So, I'm just going to have to clean as I go. Now one thing, if you'll notice, I went ahead and I took my work off of the vise and I replaced the vise with hold down clamps directly to the table. I figured I could do that because I faced off the bottom, and the bottom is square now. So that gives me a little bit more freedom and room to work with this particular machine. So I'll go ahead and set it up. I'll finish the face, and then I'll go ahead and put on the final cut. Okay, what I've done is take 40 thousandths off of the top of the anvil, and it's got one more nick. I'm not going to try to remove it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1,000th cut and try to do a finishing cut and see what happens here. So let's loosen this up. We're at 40 right now, 40 and a half. So we'll go down 41 and a half. It's a nice thing about a drill, you can get pretty accurate here. 40, 41 and a half. Alright, 42. We'll call it 42. I'm going to use a higher advance speed. And we'll use a little bit higher cutting speed. We'll do one more spring cut going in the opposite direction without changing anything but the feed rate. So there's the direction. And I think we're going to call that job done. Give me just a minute. I'll take it off of the mill and take a look at it. Okay, I'm going to call this project finished. The purpose of this one was to use my new fly cutter, which I've used a couple of times already, but was to reface an anvil for the gentleman across the street. And what I did, as I explained in the beginning, is first thing I did was used a gauge to, let me back up a little here. When I put this in the vise on the cross slide, I used a gauge to make sure that this side here was as close to the same height as this side as I could. It was pitted, rusted, and I don't believe these were really surfaced flat when they were made anyway. So what I did was I went ahead, I milled it with the fly cutter until this surface was flat. I checked it with a light behind it and a steel ruler. Then I took the chuck off of the cross slide table, and I went ahead and I mounted the anvil and clamped it with hold down clamps like I showed earlier in the video. And all I did was I removed all of the pits that were in the face or on the top of the anvil, with the exception of one right here. I didn't really want to go any deeper. He's got a nice clean surface now, no sharp edges, so hopefully this anvil will last him a while. If he dings it real heavy again, I'm going to suggest to him that we go ahead and try tempering the top by bringing it to cherry red and quenching it in oil. And then we'll bring it up to about the blue or the tan color and quench it one more time, and hopefully that'll give it a nice hard surface up here for him to work on. But again, it's whoever made it did a pretty good job. It just needed a little bit of TLC. So this project is done, and we'll move on to the next one. Hope you enjoy the video.